Does antibiotic resistance prove evolution? Hi, it's Calvin Smith here, and welcome to Creation Basics, where our goal is to make God's creation part of your everyday conversation. Today's question is, does antibiotic resistance prove evolution? Now, if you're unfamiliar with what antibiotic resistance is, according to the World Health Organization, it's defined this way. Antibiotic resistance occurs when bacteria change in response to the use of antibiotics, used to treat bacterial infections such as urinary tract infections, pneumonia, bloodstream infections, making them ineffective. So, antibiotic resistance in bacteria, it's one of the most common pieces of evidence used for evolutionists today. Why? Because it shows change in a biological living creature's function in real time, which some people say equates to showing that bacteria are evolving. So the reasoning is if a group of bacteria which were vulnerable to antibiotics before somehow gain the ability to resist them, well, they obviously must have something brand new that they never had before. And isn't that what evolution is all about? I mean, if, for example, lizard-like creatures supposedly turned into birds over millions of years, they would have had to acquire new abilities and features like feathered wings that they didn't have previously. So isn't that just like these bacteria acquiring new abilities to resist the antibiotics? Well, let's look at an example. H. pylori. It's a type of bacteria that can cause stomach ulcers and cancer, so doctors will usually want to deal with these bacteria by using antibiotics. And these bacteria normally absorb the antibiotic through its cell wall. A naturally occurring enzyme, part of the regular makeup of it, within a normal healthy H. pylori, then turns to poison in the presence of the antibiotic, and the bacterium dies. However, bacteria, like all living things, are sometimes affected by genetic mutations in their DNA. And in some mutant H. pylori, the ability to produce the enzyme it normally has can be lost due to these genetic mutations. So the mutant survives being exposed to this antibiotic. Now note that the mutated H. pylori survived due to a loss of function. It lost the ability to produce the enzyme. It didn't get new enzymes or features that it never had before. It actually lost the ability to create the enzyme. Its ability to resist the antibiotics is because it lost something it had before, not because it gained something new. Further, these mutants might be more fit to survive in the presence of the antibiotic, but if that antibiotic were to be removed from the environment, then these mutants would likely be far less fit to survive than the original bacteria because they're missing a component that healthy H. pylori usually have, the enzyme. So notice some key observations here. During this process, bacteria stayed bacteria. It didn't become a new kind of creature, like a cow or something, and genetic information was lost, not gained. We know that increasing complexity is a requirement of evolution. So this isn't an example of evolution in action, but mutated things in action. Additionally, time doesn't resolve this problem of a lack of acquiring new genetic information because it doesn't account for a mechanism for this to occur. It doesn't matter how much time you give it, this process we're discussing will never allow new genetic information to be added to an organism. So antibiotic resistance is evidence of detrimental changes like mutations and natural selection, not onward and upward evolution. We know this because antibiotic resistance demonstrates variation within kinds rather than the creation of new forms, functions, and features required to change one kind of creature into a new kind of creature. And while antibiotic resistance stands in opposition to evolutionary theory, it's consistent with biblical creation, as Genesis 1 tells us that God created creatures according to their kinds and told them to reproduce. We also know from Romans 8:22 that all of creation fell alongside with mankind in Genesis 3. So mutations, mistakes, or changes in DNA, and as a result, bacterial infections are now a reality that we face. So does antibiotic resistance prove evolution? Not at all. Although it's one of the most common evidences used in textbooks to support evolution in action, antibiotic resistance is simply evolutionary fool's gold. It looks good until you examine it closely. However, as you've seen, the marvelous ability of bacteria to survive against antibiotics doesn't support the idea of progressive evolution at all. But state school textbooks continue to claim that bacteria's sophisticated capacity to change, which appears to be built into their systems, supports the claim that molecules can change into completely different kinds of creatures like mosquitoes and mushrooms and men, despite the fact that these changes would require the addition of completely different kinds of genetic information, which science has never seen. If you're appreciating this content, visit the AnswersInGenesis.ca website for much more. Please consider donating to the ministry, and whatever platform you're accessing this on, it likely has some combination of features that allow you to subscribe or like or share, and we'd appreciate you taking the time to do so, because it's probably the best thing you can do to help us continue to do outreach. Until next time, I'm Cal Smith. Blessings to you.